Hello! This is going to be a tutorial on the basics of Rust and using it along with SDL2 to create a simple game. No knowledge of Rust is necessary, although a tetanus shot is recommended. You should, however, have an understanding of basic programming concepts. As an example, I will explain how to set up for loops in Rust, but not what for loops are. So what are we making? Is it going to be a high-end RTX on 8K 60 FPS 4090 power cable melting home heating super beast? No, it will be Asteroids. For those who don't know, Asteroids is an old arcade game that came out in 1979. The goal is to fly around and shoot asteroids and break them up into smaller asteroids and not die. In the background is our end product, but we won't get there for a while. Now, don't be sad. Rome wasn't built in a day, as they say. I know multi-part tutorials can be hard, but I promise that at the end of each one, you will have learned at least one new concept and have a tangible result to reward your efforts. To begin, you will need to install Rust on your computer and get it running. I will link to a tutorial on how to do that below, as it is very straightforward and already documented much better than I could. I will wait here for you to finish with that and make some tea. You're done already? But the water just started boiling. And my tea? But okay, let's move on. You will need to install just one more thing before we can get started, called SDL2. Or the Software Direct Media Layer if you're fancy and have your pinky up while you drink tea. Just like I would do with my cup of tea.
If I had one! Sorry, what's the happy? But the happy's back!
And no, before you ask, I don't know who decided direct media was one word. Again, there are a lot of tutorials out there that explain the installation better than I can, and I will link videos that show setup for Windows, Mac, and Linux. The beauty of using SDL2 is that it is what is known as cross-platform, which means that the code is the same for all three systems, and just gets compiled differently to work with each one. Okay, with setup out of the way, we move on to the main event. The end product for this part of the tutorial is really going to blow your mind. We are going to have a window that draws on the screen. Admittedly, this is not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's an important place to start. Otherwise, we would have to draw everything with ASCII. Let's begin with creating a new project. If you followed the tutorial I linked to, then you should be able to navigate to the folder you want to create your project in and type cargo new and the name of the project you want to create. Once it is done, you can open the newly created folder in your editor of choice. I will be using Visual Studio Code, a lightweight and extensible editor that definitely doesn't let Microsoft and Bill Gates watch you sleep. With the folder open, you will see a couple of things. The cargo new command automatically sets up our project as a Git repo and adds a cargo.toml file. It additionally creates a source and target folder. I know it's a lot of stuff, but we will go over all of it, except for Git. Git is a whole skill to learn in itself, so we'll be ignoring that for this tutorial. If you are familiar with other programming languages like C or C++, the common convention is to have a main file, which is where your code starts. If we look into the main.rs file, we can see that there's a function in there called main. This is where all of the code for the project will stem from. Right now, there is a hello world print statement, and if we go to the terminal and type cargo run, the program will compile and we will see the output. Yay! Now comes the part where we actually start using SDL2. In order to bring in the library, we're going to add a package to the cargo.toml file. If we look in that file right now, we'll see a couple of things, like the name of the program. What we care about is the dependency section. We want to add a line that says SDL2 equals open quote 0.35.2 closed quote. This is all that's needed to bring the package, called a crate in Rust, into our code. There are thousands of crates available on a website called crates.io, and you can search for the one that you need. We will end up using a few more crates before we're done with this project. We are almost at the finish line now that we have the SDL2 crate in the cargo file. The next time we do a cargo run, we will see that the crate and its dependencies get downloaded automatically. If you look in the description, you will find a link to the SDL2 for Rust documentation. It has everything you need to use SDL2 in Rust. Actually, wait, that's what this tutorial is for. I'll explain it good, and I promise. For now, though, we are going to borrow this code from the Getting Started section. If everything was done right, then you should see this amazing rainbow window. That is where we're going to end this tutorial. We now have a solid base that will allow us to do whatever we want in it. In the next tutorial, we are going to cover reading in images and drawing them to the screen. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and have a good one.